Welcome to the love-infused ravings of Bach. Put the mind in order. Whenever there's confusion, there's pain, because confusion implies we're trying to understand something that we can't. And at the deepest level, we're trying to understand our lives, and we can't. And that causes a sort of existential pain. Right, and that's what we're moving towards, is letting go of that. Letting go of trying to understand our lives at the level of mind, at the level of thought, at the level of thinking. And that letting go is the understanding. Right? Life makes sense when the mind is quiet and we're just present. Life makes sense, of course. Just notice that confusion. Notice the requisite pain that goes along with it. And totally understandable, right? That's what we're all trying to do, is understand our lives. And sometimes it can succeed temporarily. Sometimes it sort of makes sense, right? We can kind of think that we figured it out because everything feels aligned for a while. But it only starts really making sense when we start letting go of our ideas about how life should be, and we start sinking into our deeper selves, where it always makes sense, right? There's no need to understand that at the level of mind. It just is, and it's whole. It's complete, so of course it makes sense. Things that don't make sense are things that need fixing, and we don't know how, right? That's the confusion. I want to fix this, but I don't know how. And then all that energy trying to figure it out. And at the level of worldly play, at the day-to-day level, that's a beautiful thing. Is the mind coming up with the solutions for the challenges of life. But life itself, trying to understand life itself, trying to understand who we are at our deepest nature, we can't figure that out. That's always going to lead to confusion, right? Age-old existential confusion. What is life about? Why am I here? Who am I? And the search begins, and it can only culminate in a satisfying way when we give it up. And we can say that in lots of different ways, but right, that is sort of obvious in a way, that when we give up the search, we can finally rest. And if you think about it this way, if you find something during that search, you can always lose it again. If it's something outside of yourself, or if it's some technique or practice or experience, whatever comes can go, meaning we have to then protect it and hold on to it and always be working to hold on to something else, trying to control something else. Now it's just maybe a more subtle idea or experience. But the only way to really come to a resolution is to give up trying to understand and letting go into ourselves, into our deeper nature, where there are no questions left. not because they've all been answered, but our deeper nature is the answer. When we're deeply connected to it, as it, when we let go of our sense of separateness and feel ourselves as the one whole, there's nothing to fix. So there's no confusion, there's no problems to fix. There's just silent, loving presence. What could be wrong with that? What could be missing from that? We may be missing it a lot of the time, but it's not missing anything. So all this is to just say, notice the confusion, notice this existential confusion of trying to figure out how to make life make sense. When does it all make sense? When can I stop trying to manage it in just the right way so it all makes sense? Just talking about that's exhausting, right? And you can just see the futility of it if you take a moment. See all of the variables of life, all the different people we know, people we don't know, governments, natural events, communities, families, our own thoughts, of course. That's really what it comes down to. All the variables in life, and the idea that we can somehow order it all and then manage it all in a way that everything's just going to go well. That we can finally rest because we've now gotten the machine working just perfectly and it's never going to break down again. Like you can just see the futility of that, right? It's just too many variables. I mean, infinite amount of variables. And that can be frightening, of course, and overwhelming to think about. But if you just flip it on its head, right, and realize that you could never do it, you take that leap of courage and realize you can never do it. And all you do is start working on your own mind instead of working on the world and working on putting your outside life in order. Put your mind in order. When that's in order, everything is in order. Right? When you work with the mind and start to free yourself of the tyranny of thinking and realizing your deeper nature is something that thinking arises out of and sinks back into. That your deeper nature is already whole and at peace and free. And it's not a matter of controlling it, it's a matter of letting go and realizing it. And all of a sudden, although extremely challenging to do, not impossible anymore. And we have teachers who have led the way. But you can see, if you ponder it deeply, of course it could be the only true refuge, is your deepest being, that which always is whole and needs no fixing or work or improvement or anything. It doesn't need anything. And it is us, right? It's not some lofty castle in the sky. It is us. It's available to everyone in all walks of life at all times, of course. All it takes is the desire to know. And we can see that essentially that's what everybody's looking for. Everybody's trying to figure that out at whatever level they're working at. Everyone wants that. Everyone wants to be free of the tyranny of their mind.